Today on Father and Son Talk Comics,
we're going to be talking about Empyre Issue 2. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, we're your hosts. I'm Mike Spider-Slayer, and this is
B.
And guys, today we're going to be talking about the second issue of Empyre. That's right, fans. As promised, B and myself are going to cover this entire event. Not all the tie-ins. Don't worry, we're not going to be talking about those, but we're talking about the main event. And this is B's first major Marvel event. So again, you get to see this from new eyes. This book is written by Al Ewing and Dan Slott. The artwork is done by Valerio Schiti, okay? And once again, I thought that the artwork was really well done. I really love the colors in this book. It really brings the book to life. What did you think about the artwork in this particular book?
I think the artwork was just as good as the last book. So I really liked it.
Okay, so some of your favorite looking characters in this book?
I like Swordsman and Koi. Because Koi looks a little different in this book than he did last time.
I think he looks a little more like... You get to see his like green hair, and he's got his purple face, right? And he's got them green eyes and whatnot. So he looks a little more. He does look little bit more evil and menacing, right? And look, you get to see his costume there.
Very angry here.
Yeah, and he's got like his purple outfit and stuff like that. So I feel like with the bright greens, the purples, and everything it makes the book really bright. Okay. So let's talk about the story, all right? So what do we think about this particular issue? Does it leave off just as good as it did at the end of the first issue, right? I mean, we wound up finding out that the Katati winds up manipulating the Avengers to try to stop the Kree and the Skrull, and then what happens?
And then after that, the Katati betray the Avengers and trap them in a jungle on the moon.
Yes, that is correct. They created this plant thing called what was it called?
The Death Blossom.
The Death Blossom. That sounds menacing, right? And it destroys the Kree and the Skrull Armada fleet, and it traps the Avengers, and that's where we were last left off. So in this particular issue, where it starts is basically you kind of see that our Avengers, they are actually captured, and the Katati are basically giving this ultimatum, you can live on this moon, you can be part of us, or basically you can...
I don't know.
Die?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yes, die. There you go. I mean, there's not too many options on there. Okay, so what happens in the beginning of this book is we get to learn a bit more about your favorite character from the last issue, and that was
Koi.
And what did you learn about him?
Well, we learned that he was raised as an Avenger by the Swordsman, and then he was kicked out, and he was learned to hate animals, apparently.
So, based off of everything that happened with I keep calling them a mix, a Kree and the Skrull, he's learned to hate them, and he's learned to hate all, I guess, animal life, like you said, right? And so he wants vengeance in all this. And so we wound up getting to see this little bit of this back history about them planting the seed and about them setting everything up, about when it came to their, their plan of attack for the future, okay? And then it came to fruition about how Hulkling became the Emperor, and they needed the Avengers to try to help them out, until that death bloom actually happened, right? So just as that story concludes, we get to the next chapter of our story, and we wind up seeing that Koi gives him an ultimatum, right? Like I said earlier, join them or
Die.
right. So, and what does Thor do? He opens up his hammer, or he opens up his hand, and what happens?
The hammer flies to his hand and he just destroys the entire forest.
Oh yeah, that was such a cool scene. And it was like, that's something that you would actually see from the movie. Could you see something like that happen when you would watch Avengers, like Endgame, right? He was so very much in character there. And so that, I thought that was a lot of fun. And we get to see that all the plant life there in that immediate area was destroyed, and Koi's all pissed off and angry, right? And he's just like, "Oh, I'll be back, and then you won't be sorry," right? So that's what happens in that particular part of the book. And then what happens is we found out that the Katati's vegetation makes its way back to
Earth.
Right. So now the Earth is taken over by the Katati. So now we have that whole situation to deal with. So towards the end of the chapter of the third chapter, or the closing act of this book, is we wind up learning a little bit more about Captain Marvel, right? Mm-hmm. So they wind up going to the Armada fleet, the mothership or whatever, and it was taken over by the
Katati's plant things.
Right. And so what happens is we found out something quite interesting about Hulkling and his sword. So when he uses his power, right, what did the power do to all the plant life?
The power kills all of the Katati's plants.
Right. So then they came up with a plan with Captain Marvel and Hulkling's sword, right? So what did they do? Hulkling winds up...
She stabbed Hulkling through the chest and held it there until the energy exploded and saved the ship.
Yeah. So that happened. And so what happens is she basically died. The fleet is saved. She comes back to life, and it is storming like crazy outside all of a sudden. And she winds up coming back to life, but she is rewarded now. And she winds up getting the new hammer and becomes the new Accuser. She has the power of what once Ronan had, right? And she was rewarded for that. And now, basically, the battle is headed to Earth, and that's how the book ended. And what do we see about Captain Marvel's costume? Her costume changed.
It changed green.
Right. Because back in the original comics, like about Ronan the Accuser, his costume used to be green. So I guess when you become an Accuser, I guess your costume's green. I guess that's what happens. I don't know too much about that, but it looks like that's what happens. So this looks like that's Captain Marvel's new costume and new hammer. What do you think about that?
That's pretty cool.
You think she's
like
kind of
a Thor with a long hammer?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's awesome. So I think that Captain Marvel has got a much larger plot in this particular book now that she's got this power, right? And there's actually going to be a tie-in issue with the Captain Marvel series, which I currently read. So that might be interesting to see what she does with this new hammer or this new power that she has achieved. So what did you think about this second issue, B?
I liked it because it was a little confusing on some parts, but it ended up being really good.
Okay. What was most confusing for you?
Probably the part where they stabbed Captain Marvel.
Okay, so you weren't quite understood what that was, right? So it was his sword. Here's his sword. Hulkling's sword had the power to disrupt all that plant life. He's got that magic in that sword. So in order for that to disperse a large amount of it, they actually have to actually stab Captain Marvel, and she can withhold all that power. And then eventually it just explodes when she can't hold it anymore. So that's basically what happened there. But overall, it was a pretty good story for you?
Yeah.
So from first issue to second issue, which issue did you like so far?
I think I liked the second one better.
Did you? Why is that?
It just had more stuff in it, and now that I understand the story, it makes more sense, and I know what they're doing.
Okay. So what are we interested? What would you like to see next?
Well, I want to see Earth being completely taken over and then blows up with the energy from Hulkling's sword.
See, that's pretty cool. I like this issue myself. I thought it was a little bit too bogged down with the Hulkling. I mean, not the Hulkling, but the Kakati history of Koi's backstory. But I understand why it was there, so you get to know the character a bit more. But besides that, I love the ending of the issue. I love Captain Marvel's power, and I can't wait to see where the story goes from here. So at the end of the day, what are you going to rate this out of 5?
I think 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5? I'm going to give this one same thing. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 as well. I thought it was really good, and I can't wait to read issue 3, and then we'll be halfway through this already. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like the content, we're going to leave you more content right here. We'll see you next week, and until next time, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off, and
B
signing off, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.